Happy 4th of July! I am shooting this on the 4th of July, which is why I'm dressed all festive. I got flag shorts on. It's the 4th of July today. I will not be editing this or posting it for a few days from now, so I hope everybody had a fun and safe 4th of July. The purpose of this week's video is to update you guys on my current living situation. I live with my sister. We just moved in a little over a month ago. We have mice. Very first night we moved into our apartment. We got moved in. It was like nighttime, probably around midnight. And I went downstairs to fill up my water bottle in the kitchen sink. All of a sudden, this mouse runs from under our fridge into our utility room right next to my foot. Of course, it like scared me and I screamed and I ran upstairs and I was like, we have mice. A few days later, my dad came down and he set 2 traps for us. He set them in the utility room with the door closed so that Charlie couldn't get into them or whatever. I don't know what happened, but we didn't check the traps for a few days. My sister came back from being gone for a weekend. She checked the trap and we had caught a mouse. One of the traps was set off and the other one had a mouse in it, like a dead mouse. My mom gave us these like gloves to put on when we dispose of the mice so that we're not like touching them because they have like diseases and stuff. They're really gross. So my sister puts on the glove or whatever and she goes to pick up the mice. It must have been caught for a few days. I don't know how long. I wasn't keeping track. It must have been caught for a few days because she went to pick it up and there were maggots in it. And I wasn't home. I was at work when she did this, so I guess it was really gross and she had to dispose of the mouse. She had to bring it out to the dumpster and she dumped bleach all over our floor because it was nasty. The other trap had been set off, but there was nothing in it. A few days later, my parents hadn't been down to our apartment and neither one of us have ever set a mouse trap before, so we didn't know how. And we didn't want to touch it because obviously a mouse had touched it, whatever. A few days went by and my sister's friend Tatum came over and we're telling her about the mouse that we caught. She's like, have you caught any more? And we told her no because we haven't set another trap because we don't know how to set it. And she's like, oh, well, I think I know how to set a mouse trap. So she goes in there and she takes it out and she sets it for us. And we're like, okay, cool. I put some butter on it to bait them. And we're like, sweet, now we have another mouse trap. We're going to catch another mouse. A few days go by and we're checking the mouse trap. One day we realize the mouse trap has not been set off, but the bait, the butter I had put on there is gone. So we're like, okay, cool. This mouse ate the bait off but didn't actually get caught. My dad comes down and he checks. He tells us, he looks at the trap and he like plays with it a little and it doesn't go off. But Tatum had set it wrong because she had put like the bar into a hole so that the mouse trap literally couldn't go off. So that's why we weren't catching any mice. But that's okay because we thought it was really nice of her to set it for us in the first place. Or try to at least. My dad sets it correctly and he sets another one. We have not seen any mice yet though. Since Sarah got rid of the first one and it was all nasty, it's my turn to dispose of the next mouse we catch. So I'm hoping we just had one mouse, I don't have to dispose of one. But next day, lo and behold, I check the trap and there's a mouse caught in it. And the other trap is set off again, but there's nothing in it. The Snapchat video that was shown at the very beginning of this video was me disposing of the mouse. I have a glove in my hand, blah, blah. My friend Sid was in town. What happened was we were in her car and I had to run in and grab something for her. While I'm here, I'm gonna check the mouse trap. So I checked the mouse trap. Of course, there's a mouse in it. And I freaked out and so I ran out to Sid's car and I was like, you need to come in. I have to get rid of this mouse and I'm really scared. We disposed of it. At this point, neither my sister or I know how to reset a mouse trap. And that one had been set off. We're like, okay, we got 2 mice, but obviously we might have more. I went to Walmart and I got 6 traps. So I set these 2 traps. I read the directions and I set these 2 traps. My dad showed me how to set a trap, but these were different kinds because they have like a little plastic like thing that the mouse can step on and then it'll snap on them. I put some peanut butter on there. I set these 2 traps. A few days go by and we're not catching anything. So we're like, okay, cool. We must have got all the mice. We don't have any more mice. But one day we checked because we're checking like every day. We don't want the maggot situation again. One day we check and I'm like, is there still peanut butter on the traps? And my sister is like, no. these mice are eating our bait and not getting caught. So clearly we have mice still. Like, I must not have set them right if they're eating the bait and they're not getting caught. I'm like calling my mom, you and dad need to come down and set these mouse traps because obviously I don't know what I'm doing. I tried, it's not working. One day, literally in the middle of the day, I had to go wash my hands. So I go to the kitchen sink and I go to pump a pump of soap onto my hand, and all of a sudden there's a mouse on our counter right next to our soap. I screamed, it looked at me, it ran behind our stove, and then I ran upstairs and like was screaming at my sister, there's a mouse on our counter, there's a mouse on our counter, which is disgusting. So the whole time this is going on, we randomly see Charlie going, like at night usually, Charlie goes over to the stove or the fridge and his tail is wagging and you can tell like there's mice under there. And we're also like, dude, we've caught 2 mice. Our cat has not caught any mice, which usually if you have a cat, it's a kind of a good thing. They're gonna keep the mice out of the apartment, but apparently Charlie doesn't catch mice. He's just a useless house cat. So yeah, I see this mouse on the counter. I'm freaked out. It's gross. I call my mom and I'm like, you guys need to come set these traps. We have mice running on our counter. Charlie. And it's gross. Ever since I saw a mouse on the counter, I have not touched the sink, our stove. I have not touched any of our dishes because we have like a drying rack of dishes right next to our sink of clean dishes, and the mouse is clearly running around that. I have yet to touch anything down there because that's nasty. I don't remember when. It must have been that same night. Now this is getting into the last like few days. So that same night I go home and my mom and dad are like, we will show you how to correctly set a mouse trap. So this is the same mouse trap I had. Basically you move the bar, you pull this back, and you use this bar and this yellow thing to like hold it. When a mouse steps on this, the kill bar will snap over and get them. So what I did is I read the directions and I shoved this mouse trap and somehow got it to I put the trap like this, and then I wedged this arm thing. This thing was being held on straight up and down. I put peanut butter on here, and I just figured like, okay, a mouse will eat it and push on it. This will release, and the bar will come over and get it. I had been doing that wrong. My sister and I go home that night, and I set 4 traps. I set them correctly. I put peanut butter on them in our utility room. That night, Charlie was sniffing and like sitting there staring. I don't remember if it was before or after I set the traps, but I go over to the sink again and I see a mouse on the counter again. So I scream to Sarah, there's mice on the counter again! And I run upstairs and I'm looking. The one I saw had went behind the stove, and then I saw another one run from behind our microwave back behind our stove. Oh my gosh, there's multiple mice running around on our counter, and we're like, what the heck is Charlie doing? Where is Charlie? We don't know where he is. Finally, I go look over by his food dish because his food dish is near our bathroom, and Charlie is sitting on our toilet and drinking our toilet water. Basically, Charlie is a small, useless dog that doesn't hunt mice and drinks out of our toilet. Oh, and when we got home after being at my parents' house, we're looking around the sink and there's mouse poop right like on the edge of our sink. So we're like, cool, they're running around, they're pooping on our stuff. Meanwhile, we're gone. Who knows what Charlie's doing? He's probably sleeping because he doesn't care. On with the story. The last mouse we caught, I disposed of. So now it's Sarah's turn to dispose of the mice. Next day, I wake up and I go to work, and then I text Sarah and I'm like, let me know if we catch any mice. Eventually she texts me back and she said we caught 2 more. She disposes of them and we still have 2 traps. So at this point I'm like, you know, we probably have a gajillion mice. Apparently they're running around our counter and probably reproducing and having babies and all this stuff, but there's still 2 traps that haven't been touched. So we had caught 4 mice and we're hoping we're done with our mice problem. And also our kitchen light, when we first moved in, it worked. After a week or 2, it would sometimes work, or sometimes it wouldn't work, or sometimes it would flicker. Now the light won't even turn on, so we're pretty sure the mice probably chewed something and now our light doesn't work. So this is yesterday when I went to work and we caught 2 more mice. I'm texting my sister, she's like, we got 2 more, and I told her, you should call the maintenance or whatever and have them come look at our apartment today. Well, she never called because apparently she enjoys living with the mice. There's still 2 traps that haven't been touched, so maybe we're done with the mouse problem. Last night, I am at home by myself. I think I was filling up my water bottle in the bathroom because I refused to touch the kitchen sink. Charlie was down there and all of a sudden he goes sprinting towards the kitchen. We have a mouse still because that's the way Charlie acts when there's a mouse. Even though he doesn't catch them, he still likes to go and watch them. So I go around and I don't see anything, so I start to walk and there's another mouse on our counter, and all of a sudden it turns around and it sprints behind the stove again. We still have mice running around our counter. It's just frustrating. So I'm home alone. I'm like terrified that they'll come up in my room, in my bed. I was having nightmares that there were mice in my bed. There's mice running on our counter and Charlie is just sitting there looking at them. He's just sitting there watching them. He has some real pure hunting talent. I'm in my room and all of a sudden I hear like this like clanging kind of, and I peer down the stairs and there's this mouse. Charlie, what are you doing? Ugh, now I'm scared there's a mouse on my bed. So I'm peering down and I can see part of my stove and there's a mouse just sitting on our counter. For like a minute. And I look over in my room and there's Charlie sleeping on my pillow. I'm like sitting there watching it just because I'm kind of curious, like where does it go? What's it doing? I'm on mouse watch at this point. And then it was just kind of like going around on the counter and stuff. And then we have a gas stove and this mouse goes into our stove burner down and all of a sudden it comes out under our stove. And they're running all over our counters. They're running behind our stove, in our stove, under our fridge. They're apparently just taking over our kitchen. My sister is just in the kitchen, like heating up some food and putting stuff on the counter. And I was like, you do realize there was just a mouse like running around on that 20 minutes ago? She's like, yeah, well, they've probably been running around our counters for the last month we've been living here. And I was like, ew. This morning we caught the mouse. I'm assuming it was the mouse that was running around because I was sitting there watching and clearly didn't know I was watching because it was doing its mouse stuff. I only saw the one mouse last night. I think and I hope that I would have, like while I was looking down there would have been another one running around with it, and I disposed of it with my gloves. I brought it out to the dumpster. We have officially caught 5 mice, but there's still one more trap in there that is set. And I looked, and there's still peanut butter on it, so a mouse has not gotten into it yet. Yeah, that's basically my month-long story. Apparently, for the last month, we've been living with a bajillion mice in our house. I'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for watching this week. I hope you had a good 4th of July. Also, please subscribe to my channel. I put out videos every week. I guess I will see you guys next week. Oh, and also, I asked my sister, aren't you scared to, like, go in the kitchen with the mice? She's like, well, maybe if we had cockroaches, I'd be scared. And I was like, I would rather have cockroaches than mice. She's like, really? Yeah, at least they don't like carry diseases. But I guess having cockroaches would also be pretty nasty, so I don't know which one would be worse. So if you have a preference of what you think would be worse, please comment below and let us know so we can settle this, because I'm not really sure which one would be worse. They're both pretty nasty.